The Nissan Rogue got some upgrades for the 2024 model year. There are some new wheel choices that are available, new front end. On top of that, the inside technology, specifically the infotainment, got an exciting upgrade this year as well. The 2025 model is going to introduce the Rock Creek trim level, and that one's geared more towards off-road performance. Pricing for the Rogue in Canada starts at $36,500 versus $30,600 down in the States. There are some differences though. The US models are going to have front-wheel drive standard versus in Canada, it's an all-wheel drive system instead. This one is the Platinum trim level, so as of right now, it's the highest available trim, with this paint being the two-tone deep ocean blue and black. So you've got nice paint on the lower part of the body, blacked out gloss throughout the top, wheel wells, and a few other spots. The front end style of the Rogue did get some upgrades, but the grille looks great. The LED headlamps look solid. They've got little black bezels around them, and lit up at night, looks good. There's a lot of front end technology that you're going to find in the vehicle as well. There's the option for a forward park sensing system, so that beeping that you get as you get closer to obstacles. And there's also a front facing camera to go along with the side mounted cameras for an available 360 cam. But there's also the option for a 3D 360 camera as well. And I've seen it in a few other manufacturers, so Hyundai, Kia, and then Land Rover, so JLR lineup. I like the way that Nissan does it as well. There's a lot of other tech too, so adaptive cruise controls available there, a pre-collision assist system so the vehicle can automatically brake for you if there's a potential collision. And if you want to, you can turn all that technology off through the steering wheel and cluster. You're going to find the Rogue either front-wheel drive or all-wheel drive, depending on if you're in Canada or the States. In Canada, the only option is going to be all-wheel drive, and then it's front-wheel drive standard in the US, with the option of moving up to all-wheel drive. And that leads to handling. Ooh, Rogue! Very responsive handling. That's actually really good. Damn! Very responsive. Nice. And 180 here. Toy! Inside of the Rogue, you're going to find a 1.5 liter turbocharged engine. It's got a CV transmission. So it's a continuously variable transmission. So there are no set number of gears. But having said that, paddle shifters are available inside of this ride. I'm going to drop myself into sport mode and I need to get back up to highway speed. So utilize those paddle shifters and we'll go in 3, 2, and... Come on, Rogue, you can do it! 100. Okay. Fair enough. So, is it going to win you some drag strip competitions? No, probably not. But I think for most people, that's probably powerful enough. There is a little engine cover here with the Nissan badge. You've got easy access to top up your fluids, change your oil, and the battery's there as well. And the warranty inside of the Nissan world is pretty industry standard. Your basic is a 3-year, 36,000 mile, 60,000 kilometer. Powertrain gets bumped up to a 5-year, 60,000 mile, 100,000 kilometer. So you just want to make sure that you take care of your ride, take it in for regularly scheduled maintenance. I was taking a look at the NHTSA website as well, comparing the Rogue across the years. So far, there haven't been many complaints for the 2024 model. And then even previously, like the 23s, the 22s, etc., there are some complaints, but not a ton tied to the CVT, which is definitely something that I like to see. It means that people are actually enjoying this ride without running into many issues. Filling up fuel inside of the Rogue is done just along the passenger side. It's an unlocked cover that does have a capless system that does feature anti-siphon technology. Minimum manufacturer's recommendation for the Rogue is going to be just regular fuel, so 87 octane is all you need to use. You will get better fuel economy inside of the front-wheel drive compared to all-wheel drive. It's not a big difference, but a little one. Rear-wheel fuel economy inside of the Rogue has been slightly higher than advertised, but here's the thing. I did about a 70-ish kilometer trip inside of the car when I went to go pick it up. And so far, I'm just scrolling to see, okay, so far traveled about 70 kilometers. I was averaging about 7.2 liters per 100. So on the highway, the stated numbers in Canada are 6.8 liters per 100, so it's slightly higher than that. But it was a lot of stop and go traffic when I went to go pick it up. So when I started cruising, the numbers were creeping down quite a little bit. So if you're going to be highway driving, you're going to get pretty good fuel economy inside of the ride. If you go the speed limit, you'll get better fuel economy than if you were going 120, 130, whatever the case may be. The rear end of the Rogue is straightforward. LED lamps in the back. There are black bezels all the way throughout. You've got the Rogue badge, Nissan badge in the very middle as well. And then glossy black highlights along the bottom part of the bumper that have a tiny little metallic highlight, so a chromed out highlight in the very middle. You can tow inside of the Rogue. So doing something aftermarket, through your dealer, whatever the case may be, you're maxing out at 1,500 pounds, which is not a ton, but it's enough to pull a small boat, a trailer, whatever the case may be. And then you could always look at the Pathfinder as an option, or the Frontier if you needed something that could pull a little bit more. Technology-wise back here, you're always going to find the reverse park sensing system. There's the backup camera along with the rear wiper. And then getting into the trunk of the vehicle can be done a few different ways. There's a button to the left-hand side of the steering wheel. You can utilize the key fob. And then just underneath the license plate, there's a little handle there that you could button push to open up. And then my favorite, there's also the option for a foot-activated liftgate. So all you're going to do, as long as you've got the key fob on you, just going to swipe your foot underneath. Foot-activated power. Such a useful feature. I love those foot-activated liftgates. The downside to foot-activated, though, is that if the sensors are covered in snow, it's not going to open up. But there are so many other ways you can get some junk in this trunk. This one has an available cargo cover that's spring-loaded, so you can easily install, uninstall, whatever the case may be. So if you want to protect all of your valuables in the back, that's available. Nothing really off to the right or the left-hand side, with the exception of some tabs in order to lower the second row seats, but I'll point that out in a second. There are a few different trays back here, so you can lift them up in order to separate your storage if you want to. You could pop one of the storage trays up if you wanted to create some different tiered storage as well, which is kind of cool. Underneath the main storage cubby there's a mini spare tire, which is useful. Now, one of the nice things about being a Nissan owner is that you do have access to roadside assistance. Folding down the second row seats can be done from the trunk, or it can be done from the second row. From the second row, there's a tab along the top you're going to pull, but from the trunk, there are some handles along the very back. You're going to pull those. Oh yeah, down the seats go. And it is a fairly flat fold. There's a tiny little lip, but still a solid amount of cargo space inside of this ride. And the cargo measurements that you're looking at, specifically behind the first row, are from right where the liftgate would close to just in behind that little armrest between the first row seats. The second row seats inside of the Rogue are also locked into place, so you can't slide them forwards or backwards at all. But still, there's a solid amount of cargo space inside of this ride. The Rogue has seating for 5 people, and it's a pretty decently sized crossover as well. Up over top, you've got the option for roof rack rails, crossbars as well. So if you wanted to put a carrier on top, you absolutely could. And then getting inside, the first row and the second row is easy enough. And one nice thing is that if you have an older relative or somebody with mobility issues that needs help in and out, there are assist handles overhead for the first and second row seats on both the driver and on the passenger side. Then as you back away, auto lock feature. So useful. And then you walk towards the car, auto unlock. Side view mirrors feature turn signals. There's the option for that side mounted camera for that full 360 view. Along the door, there's a button there that you can push to lock, push to unlock instead. All right. Along the door, there's the option for driver seat memory. And then these are going to be standard across the trims. So your unlock lock buttons, side view mirror controls, window controls with some door storage. On the inside, there's a lane keep system as part of the adaptive cruise control. There's the option for a head-up display. You can adjust the brightness of the cluster, turn the auto start stop system off, and then there's also a trunk release there as well. These are the regular carpeted mats that you're going to get right from the factory. Honestly, it's worth going at least for the aftermarket WeatherTechs, I think, because they're thermoplastic rubber trays, and it's just so much easier to keep those clean comparatively or compared to carpeted liners. Power seat inside the vehicle, so forwards, backwards, up and down. You can adjust the backrest, and then it's multi-way lumbar support as well. Seat-wise, there are cloth seats, leatherette seats, or these ones, which are full leather seats, so semi-aniline leather seats that are quilted. And boy, are they comfortable. All right, hold on, start up. Down here, push button start. There we go. And with the driver's seat, set up for myself being 6 feet tall. Actually, let's go all the way down, yeah. Let's go all the way down. So the seat as far down as it's gonna go in the first row, I've got 4.5-ish inches of headspace there, which is pretty solid. Now, there's the option 4, like I mentioned, driver's seat memory, so you can adjust it out. 2 individual settings there. The steering wheel in the Rogue is straightforward. You've got basic controls, along with controls for adaptive cruise. There are paddle shifters inside of the ride as well. So while the vehicle doesn't have dedicated gears because it's a CVT, you could technically adjust up to 6 individual gears, if you want to call it that, this way instead. The cluster screen is fully digital inside of the ride, and there's the option 4, full mapping cluster on top of that. Hold on, let's go down, and I think this should do it. Look at that. Full mapping cluster, love it. If you want to walk through, like you want to know how to use the steering wheel buttons, go through the cluster or the infotainment, you'll find walkthroughs down in the description of the video. But you can see there, head-up display, and if you have navigation going, so factory navigation, turn-by-turn directions would show up in the head-up display along with inside of the cluster. The infotainment system here, so responsive. So this is based off of Google Android operating system instead. So it's no longer Nissan's proprietary software. It's faster. It's got Google Maps built in as well. And there's an available Play Store. So you've got the flexibility of being able to download apps right to the vehicle. So things like Waze instead, YouTube Music and other things. So there's no video playback support through the screen, unfortunately. That's one thing I would love to see, but still really good capabilities now inside of this screen. You've got the option for AM, FM, Sirius XM, Bluetooth, USB music there as well. And there are 3 different speaker choices available. So 4-speaker, 6-speaker, or the upgraded 10-speaker Bose audio system instead, with speakers strategically placed throughout the ride. And the audio that you get inside the vehicle is solid.
They tell me that I'm never gonna make it. They want me to do something that could make sense. They hate when I keep dreaming I'll be famous.
Oh, so like I said, you've got 3 different speaker choices that are available. Solid audio in the 6, even better audio in the upgraded 10-speaker system instead. There's wireless Android Auto and wireless Apple CarPlay that are backwards compatible. So if you wanted to be plugged in over USB, you could. There's a 360 camera inside of the ride as well. So you can look around, full 360. You see your side-mounted views there instead, a full front view. And then there's this 3D view instead. And this is crazy. So you could hit around to any camera angle in order to see the vehicle from different options or different angles. So it's really cool, especially as you start to drive. I love the way that Nissan's done this. So good. And the camera quality year over year is improved for sure. It's way better. Love it. But yeah, like I said, full walkthrough here. You'll find it down below. There's dual zone climate control, heated first row seats, heated steering wheel. You can control the rear climate here as well. So there, push start with a 12-volt power point and a wireless charge pad. The shifter, as always, feels solid in the hand. Like it. You've got a parking brake, auto hold setting with some cup holders, and selectable drive modes. So you can do a little bit of an off-road mode, which is going to play with traction control, stability control, things like that. But overall, it's good. Sport mode holds on to the RPMs a little bit more. So rather than shifting at like 2,000 RPM, it might shift at 3,000, 4,000 plus. And then when you utilize the paddle shifters, even better. Down low, there's a little storage tray down there too. Solid amount of space. And then you've got some cup holders. Oh, already pointed those out, but this little storage tray with a good amount of space down there. I like the way that opens up too. The dash, so you can see there. So there's different highlights along the door. That follows through part of the dash, but still, look at this wood grain that traces all the way around too. So you could replace this if you really wanted to. So do like a 3M wrap if you wanted something a little bit more unique. The glove box is a decent amount of space in there. Overhead, this is the auto dimming rear view mirror. So later on at night, it can dim out in case some donkey's in behind you flashing their high beams. There's a sunglasses holder, basic controls for your cabin lights as well, and then controls for the panoramic sunroof. So the dual roof is not standard, but it is available in a number of trim levels of the vehicle. Look at that. So the seal down there goes down. Looks so good. Little bug guard there. It just looks solid all around. And it opens things up so nicely inside of the ride. Overhead, there's a little ticket receipt holder, vanity mirror with a light built in over top. And this, I like how they highlight it. Sliding visor. Slides all the way out in order to block any sun that might be hitting your face. The overall visibility inside of the ride is solid. I like that there's seat memory there as well. This is good. Okay. So as I mentioned, the ride has it has 5 seats. You've got the option for sunshades inside of the second row. There we go. Perfect position. There we go. And then some basic highlights. So that same kind of metallic highlight along the door. Bottle storage. And one cool thing, bottle storage here and in the first row. Big enough for larger bottles, which is solid. Same style seats in the second row. And hopping back. Okay, so I've got the driver's seat set up for myself being 6 feet tall. And in the second row, I've got a good amount of knee space, foot space, and head space. Sitting fully upright, I've got like 3.5 inches of space here, which is solid. And the seats in the second row, while they're not as comfortable as the first row, they still are fairly comfortable. I wouldn't mind a distance trip in this one. Middle seat, a little bit tricky because there is, I should say, a little hump there. So it's doable. It's going to be a little tight for 3 full-size adults, just depending on how tall people are. But I mean, I'm fitting back here okay. Down low, you can see a couple controls there. So there's the option of adjusting the second row climate. You can turn on second row heated seats for the outboard seats. The middle seat's not heated. And then there are 2 USB Type-C power points as well. I like that the outboard seats have the option for heat. It would be great to see ventilated seats in the first row at least, but they're not here, unfortunately. Got the anchor points down low, tether points behind the seats if you've got child seats. There's no handle to get into the cup holder, so you just got to jam some fingers in there and drop down. Got a few cup holders built right into the seat as well. There's some mat pockets behind both the passenger and the driver's side. Overhead, there's a little light, a handle, and a hook, and that's the same on the driver and on the passenger side. So I will give the Rogue this. The interior is actually fairly comfortable. The seat's pretty solid. These semi-aniline seats, the leather seats, are pretty good. Headrest comfort is okay. I would like to see it with a little bit more cushion maybe. A little bit more added neck support, but still it's pretty solid. Test out the handling here. A little en route handling. All right. I mean, is it going to win you some drag competitions? No, but I think more than powerful enough for what most people are going to need. Not bad. The cabin is fairly quiet inside of the Rogue as well. Like, definitely not the most quiet cabin I've been in. I was in the Aria a few weeks ago, and that was super quiet. This one, it's quiet for sure. And because this one has the upgraded audio system, you'll be able to drown out any sort of road noise just by cranking the audio a little bit. So, do you look at the Nissan Rogue as your next vehicle? I mean, it's going to be a matter of preference. 5 seats, good power, good handling, and the updated technology inside all are pretty solid. So it's going to come down to a matter of preference. You could go for the Pathfinder if you need something a little bit bigger. But what do you think? You can find a build link for this specific Rogue down in the description of the video, along with links off to Nissan Canada, US, and all of the tech walkthrough videos too. But if you found this video useful, give it a thumbs up, share it with someone if you think they might find it helpful. And until I see you next time, take care.